This is the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here.
I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Laura, and here's your flash briefing for the week of December 8th. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in council chambers in City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Considering to run for office in the April 7th, 2026 municipal election, the filing period for declarations of candidacy will open December 9th at 8 a.m. and close December 30th at 5 p.m. Filing will take place at City Hall with the city clerk. More information about open seats and candidate requirements can be found on the city's website. A reminder to Jackson County taxpayers, Lee Summit City Hall is no longer able to process tax payments, print receipts, or create waivers. Taxpayers are advised to visit a Jackson County location or pay online at jacksongov.org. And Lee Summit Parks and Recreation's annual Skate with Santa is back December 13th and 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Summit Ice. Bring the whole family and skate the night away under twinkling lights, then sip on hot chocolate afterwards. Learn more at lsparks.net. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
The City of Lee Summit has hundreds of traffic lights across its more than 1,000 lane miles, all managed by the city's Public Works traffic technicians. The work happens inside those metal boxes on the side of each intersection. Inside, technicians program a device called the controller. The controller communicates directly with each signal head via underground wires, telling each light when to turn on and off based on a programmed cycle. City traffic engineers designed this cycle to allow traffic to flow as efficiently as possible for that particular intersection. In order to best match current traffic patterns, they install something called a detection system. Detection systems have taken many forms over the years, from sensors in the pavement to radar boxes. But in Lee Summit, they primarily consist of cameras, which workers mount above the traffic signals. These cameras don't record video or your speed. Instead, they monitor the spaces at the front of the intersection and identify when a vehicle is present in a specific spot. Once a vehicle is identified, the detection system sends a message to the controller, which then adapts its standard cycle to best serve the cars that are present. The pedestrian button works in a similar way. When the button is pressed, the controller receives a signal, requesting that it allow that section of the pedestrian walkway to go, which it then inserts into the signal pattern. Technicians also install something called a conflict monitor. The conflict monitor is a device in which they program all the potential patterns of lights that would lead to a collision. If the other systems mistakenly trigger those patterns, the conflict monitor sends the intersection into flash, causing all lights to flash red and directing drivers to treat it like an all-way stop. City traffic technicians implement and maintain these systems so effectively, we rarely consider them. But every time we safely pass through a signal-controlled intersection, it's all thanks to their work. So the next time you're waiting at a red light, remember the delicate coordination of super smart systems that move you through that space safely and efficiently every day.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. These come up too. Perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple. Quick.
Officers en route, 914, armed robbery.
My parents built their first brand new home in 1987 here in Lee Summit. It's pretty amazing to see what Lee Summit looked like in 1987 as a teenager. So vibrant, it was just growing, and there were a multitude of new things coming online. I was in the property management world, going to Rockhurst College, and eventually I raised my kids here. This community holds people. Every time you turn a corner, there's something new. 2013, there was a vacancy on the Planning Commission, and I thought, well, I'm gonna give this a shot. When you're on the Planning Commission, the decisions that you're making are recommendations. Are they following our UDO? Does it fit in our comp and strat plan? When it gets to the council, that's the big decision. I served on the Planning Commission up until February of 2025.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Donald Funk.
Do solemnly swear.
The first few weeks here was an eye-opener. These are big projects. We're making decisions for a lot of people. Is this the right project for our community? Does it fit? Does it serve the needs of our community? We can look back and see what's been done. I mean, it's incredible when you see Paragon Star coming out of the ground, Oldham Village starting to come online, View High Drive Athletic Facility, Discovery Park, streets of West Pryor, 291 North and 50 Highway, our farmers market, the Green Street Project. You look at our downtown. My wife and I, we had the opportunity to visit a small town in Florida that was revamping their entire downtown. I met a guy and he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Lee Summit, Missouri." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, they're modeling our downtown off of what you guys have done. We're recognized nationally." I think the easiest way to put it is we're moving in the right direction. A safe, vibrant, happy community. And my hope and my reason for doing this is because I want to keep that hope and dream moving forward.
I'd like to call to order the City of Lee Summit Public Works Committee meeting.
Roll call. Roll call.
Okay, sorry. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Here.
Vice Chair Rader.
Present.
And Councilmember Carlisle. And Councilmember Hodges.
Here.
Thank you. May I please get an approval of the agenda?
Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Yep, Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments? Nope. All right. First item of business is the approval of item A 2025-7330, approval of the November 10th, 2025 Public Works Committee action letter.
Chair, I move for the approval of the November 10th, 2025 Public Works Committee action letter.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, item B, TMP-3505, an ordinance approving a specialized aviation service organization between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Barton Aviation, LLC for a period of 5 years with continuing options for renewal to perform aircraft washing and detailing services at the Kansas City Lee Summit Regional Airport and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Arrington?
Good evening, Joel Arrington, Airport Manager. So this is a agreement with Barton Aviation to basically clean aircraft, both wash, detail. This is kind of a good success story for the airport, as Kyle is also an employee of the airport, and he's been starting on this a couple of years ago, and it started off as window washing, and hey, can you knock the bugs off my wing, on the weekend or something, and it's essentially grown into a business that's going to be primarily based out of the Lee Summit Airport. He's going to be expanding his services to do bright work and boots and all types of other things now. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I think it's great.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
May I please have a motion to forward this on to council for approval?
Chair, I make a motion to recommend to council for approval TMP-3505 An Ordinance approving a specialized aviation service organization between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Barton Aviation, LLC for a period of 5 years with continuing options for renewal to perform aircraft washing and detailing services at the Kansas City Lee Summit Regional Airport and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Second.
Thanks. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, item C, TMP-3544, an ordinance approving a specialized aviation service between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Altas Aero, LLC for a period of 5 years with continuing options for renewal to perform aircraft washing and detailing services at the Kansas City Lee Summit Regional Airport and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Arrington?
Good evening, Joel Arrington, Airport Manager. Just by coincidence, we happen to have two SASO agreements tonight for aircraft washing and detailing. It was just purely coincidence, to tell you the truth. This is a Lee Summit resident who is getting into the business, and he'll be doing aircraft washing and detailing at other airports. And in order to do it in Lee Summit, he has to go through this process of getting authorization to do it. So we will have two on the field, and I think there is going to be plenty of work for both of them, both at our airport and around the the metropolitan area. Keeping an aircraft clean is more than just making it look good. It actually helps on the resale value of aircraft. And whenever a potential buyer sees that up in the wheel well has been kept very clean and the wheels are all shiny, then the rest of the airplane is probably kept up pretty well. So it's an important service, and it just helps add to the fabric of the airport of the different types of services that we offer. This is just another option.
Perfect. Any questions? No? Okay. I know we get a ton of compliments about the services at the airport, so this goes along with that. All right. May I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Chair, I move for full City Council approval, TMP-3544, an ordinance approving a specialized aviation service organization between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Altas Aero LLC for a period of 5 years with continuing options for renewal to perform aircraft washing and detailing services at the Kansas City Lee Summit Regional Airport, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, TMP-3513 An Ordinance awarding the bid for project number 978-31683 for the Cathodic Protection Program FY25 to Kantex Industries, Inc. in the amount of $1,001,796 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Ms. O'Dell?
Hi, Lisa O'Dell, Deputy Director, Water Utilities. Yeah, this is an ongoing project in our program to provide corrosion protection to our water lines here in the city. So beginning in kind of 2019, we've started a pilot program and have continued to fund that project ever since. So this is the project that was funded in the fiscal 25 CIP. The project will install 913 anodes. So that will be kind of the sacrificial protection for the water main, so that those will corrode rather than our water main. So we've seen kind of good progress, and where we install these, we have reduced incidents of breaks. So this project was advertised for bids. We received 3 bids. We're recommending to award it to the lowest bidder, Kantex Industries. They've done one of these projects for us in the past with good results, so recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'll just make a comment. I think Jeff Thorne explained this. Thank you for your explanation. It was really good. And Jeff Thorne last year, I think, explained what it does. So I feel very confident about, the process and what you're doing. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. May I please get a motion to pass to City Council for approval?
Chair, I move to move TMP-3513 forward to Council for full approval. An ordinance awarding the bid for project number 978-31683 for the Cathodic Protection Program FY25 to Kantex Industries, Inc. in the amount of $1,796 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Hodges. I'm sorry, Vice Chair Rader. And Councilmember Hodges. And Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Next item, TMP-3538, an ordinance approving change order number 8 to the agreement for the 3rd Street improvements from Blue Parkway to Jefferson Street project number 575 between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Miles Excavating, Inc. to increase the project timeline by 2 days and contract amount by $16,392.81 and to adjust item quantities due to additional work from Addendum No. 1 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Allen?
Good evening. Perry Allen, Construction Manager. Tonight is change order number 8. We've had a progression of obviously 7 other change orders as we address the job going back and forth up 3rd Street, all the varying number of things you find as you move along, and this is just it's not the final change order because that'll round out the quantities, but this is the last real growth of change orders considering we basically are done with the project. So I recommend approval.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Rader?
Perry, these change orders, are these amounts built into the contract? Or are these in addition to the existing contract?
So it's both an addition, and we have items, unit bid items, and those items are paid out as they're constructed. And some of those items we don't use, so they are a negative change to the contract. But the rest of these items are contingent items, additional items of work that we've encountered as we were doing the project.
So I notice we have a lot of those. I mean, okay, so in my world, in construction, when they bid it, it's bid. And I mean, unless you customize something or you actually change it. So you're saying that we actually changed something in the build that caused
yes, ma'am.
to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically for instance, we've had several instances where our sidewalk tie-ins, when you get into the field, didn't come to where they needed to be, so we had to extend. That required the removal of a tree and all those items that are additional pay for our contractor.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I ask that question every time, but maybe somebody out there hears, so they know. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. May I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Chair, I move to recommend to full City Council approval TMP-3538, an ordinance approving change order number 8 to the agreement for the 3rd Street improvements from Blue Parkway to Jefferson Street project number 575 between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and Miles Excavating Incorporated to increase the project timeline by 2 days and contract amount by $16,392.81 and to adjust item quantities due to additional work from Addendum No. 1 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
May I please get a motion? A roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item F, TMP-3541, an ordinance approving change order number 6 to the agreement for the construction of project number 721-1 for the water main replacement FY23 project to Wiedenmann Inc. for an increase in the contract price of $226,148.77 for a revised agreement amount of $4,826,907.19 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same. Mr. Allen?
Perry Allen, Construction Manager. Before you tonight is the Wiedemann's FY23 water main rehabilitation project. If you recall, this one actually started off as an addition that came in with change order number 2 to work around the hospital area, St. Luke's, excuse me. And then additionally, as we move through these projects, we uncover water mains that are not necessarily in the condition or have the number of valves or connections or thrust blocks, just details. And those are what these changes are as we make the changes in the field to address any of the improvements we need to do. So, and this is the final change order, so this closes out the project.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just have a comment. The Wiedenmann Company owes me an apple tree.
Duly noted.
They really do. I told Michael about it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. May I please get a motion to pass to council for approval?
Chair, I moved to forward to full council for approval TMP-3541, an ordinance approving change order number 6 to the agreement for the construction of project number 721-1 for the water main replacement of FY23 project to Wiedenmann Inc. for an increase in the contract of $226,148.77 for revised agreement from the amount of $4,826,907.19 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, G, TMP-3504, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement regarding maintenance of streetlights by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for North Outer Road 50 West, also known as Blue Parkway, located east of Blackwell Road, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same. Ms. Berry?
Susan Berry, City Traffic Engineer. Today I'm here to bring an intergovernmental agreement for the maintenance of lighting on Blue Parkway east of Blackwell. This was required of the development that went in out that way, Blackwell Reserve I think it's called. MoDOT still maintains that stretch of Blue Parkway. At some point in the future, it may become ours, but for now, we just have the maintenance of the lights. A few months ago, I came forward requesting maintenance of the sidewalks. Again, that's another thing that MoDOT does not require, but we do require of our developers. So, any questions? I believe it's 12 lights.
Any questions? May I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Chair, I move to recommend to full council approval TMP-3504, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement regarding maintenance of streetlights by and between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for North Outer Road 50 West, also known as Blue Parkway, located east of Blackwell Road, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same.
May I please get a second?
Oh, second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
And Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 2025-7333, Presentation Transit Services. Ms. Berry?
Susan Berry, City Traffic Engineer. So about this time every year, we come forward and give an update on transit in the city. So just to refresh your memory, we offer an express service that provides service from the commuter lot and Unity Village into downtown Kansas City and Crown Center. 2 trips in the morning with a reverse commute in the morning in between those 2, and then 2 p.m. trips. So it's mostly set up for commuters going to downtown. Previously, this was provided no fares. KCATA made all of their buses free for a short period of time using CARES Act funds. Fares are planned to return in 2026, I believe in June. We still don't know the dollar amount, but they are coming back. But this is a service that kind of lost popularity for a while, but our recent numbers are showing that a lot of people are starting to ride it again. Like ridership has almost doubled in 2025, and so that's good to see. I think people are getting called back into the office. People aren't allowed to work from home quite as much, so it's still a very needed service. That just kind of shows the brown line on top. That's 2025, so you can see we're significantly above what we have been for the last 4 years. And then the other service we provide is Ride KC Lee Summit. This is an on-demand transit. It is operated by OATS, but it is not strictly for seniors. It is for any resident that lives within Lee Summit. And as long as your trips start and end in Lee Summit or go to University Health Lakewood. Fare is $3 per trip. That's each way. And you can see that's a typical bus. They have some of the smaller transit buses, but they also are going to more vans. And this is a door-to-door service that they will pick you up at your door, but advance reservations are required. Pretty much ridership has pretty much stayed steady. It's very popular, but I believe about 60% is either seniors or people with disabilities. So it still is. It's available to everybody, but our main ridership is those people that really need it and don't have the ability to drive their cars. So, like I said, there's the statistic. 40% is 60 and older and 26% disabled. And then I just decided to throw some more things in there for options for people. Ride KC Vanpool. This is a service that we have a link to it on our website. It's operated by Enterprise. And what it does is it tries to put people in carpools, and so Enterprise provides the vans, and then let's say you have 5 people in a van, one of those people drives, and then you split the cost of everything, and then Enterprise covers like the maintenance of the vehicles and stuff like that. So it's an option for people that might not otherwise ride the bus. They might be more comfortable commuting with the same people, but they don't know people going where they go. And then I just want to touch on a couple other transit things. So when I was talking about our fixed route service with KCATA, we did have a little issue. KCATA had an audit regarding how we use our funds. In this audit, they were saying that we were not using them properly because we would roll over our 5307 funds to KCATA, and then we would follow the rules that ATA followed. But we are not the same category as KCATA. We're a smaller city, and so we are currently working through a way to get through that. And the reason that's important is because we were getting like a 50% match using these funds, and then with the audit they told us we were not doing it right and we'd only get like a 20% match. So we're working through that right now. We think we have some ways to make this work and still get 50% match, but more to come on that. And then KC Smart Moves. KC Smart Moves is it's the entire Kansas City region. It's a study that Mid-America Regional Council does. We're on Smart Moves 3.0, and this year we started the next iteration of that. I don't know if it's called 4.0 or not, but basically Lee Summit will be involved in that. There's not really a lot of information about that yet, but some of the big things that Smart Moves tries to accomplish is getting jobs that are transit accessible. So the statistic I heard was less than 10% of KC Metro jobs are accessible by transit. So if you think about people that need jobs, they might not have a car, they need a way to get there. And so this Smart Moves is a way to try to focus transit on helping people to get to their jobs. So more to come on that, I guess. Some successes in transit. I don't know if you heard the streetcar expansion was a huge success. Now it runs from the River Market all the way down to UMKC. And World Cup Transit. Lee Summit was named as a, what do we call it? Region Direct. So 15 locations, including Lee Summit, are locations where you can catch a motor coach to take you to World Cup Fan Fest. And so some of those other locations are Worlds of Fun, the Legends, Liberty, Lenexa City Center, the zoo. And so they will have anytime the Fan Fest is open, they will have motor coaches running from these 15 locations to Fan Fest. In addition to that, there's also direct airport to Fan Fest buses that will be provided for people coming in from out of town. And then there's 4 locations that have stadium connections. And there's only 4 because a lot of people will go to Fan Fest and then directly to the stadium. But very limited parking at the stadium, and so they're trying to accommodate a lot of the people getting there by bus. And then the last thing is the Amtrak Missouri River Runner. Currently, there's 2 trips a day. With World Cup, they have authorized a 3rd trip today. That's per day. That's going to run from April to June. And you'll ask, why isn't it July? And I think that's just because July is in a different fiscal year, and so it hasn't been authorized yet. But this is to assist the World Cup. So I think that's all I have. Any questions about transit?
Any questions? It is good information. Do we have anything that goes to the airport? I guess that van that you can split with 5 people, that could potentially go to the airport.
That's set up more for employment.
Okay.
So no, as of now, we do not have anything that goes to the airport.
I just saw, I guess last week, Johnson County now has they're doing transportation that's a shuttle that's going to go to the airport.
Yeah.
Have we ever thought about anything like that?
I don't think we've ever really looked into it.
Do you think it would be used a lot or no?
I don't know. I don't really have a good feel for that.
For just our city, no, I don't know that we would have enough demand to support it without tremendous public subsidy. I think Johnson County has a little different effort. It's a county-wide, type of service that they provided in the Joe. They have a very engaged county over in Johnson County that provides those kind of county-wide services. And so I think they have made it work financially to their benefit to serve multiple communities in their county.
Yeah, they do have a good county. Well, you can tell by their parks too, but, all right, thank you. All right, well, I guess there's no other questions, so that takes us to the next item on the agenda, which is 2025-7285, presentation and discussion, FY 2027 Capital Improvement Plan Kickoff. Mr. Binger?
Okay, good evening. George Binger, City Engineer. This is the kind of the kickoff of our annual cycle for developing the capital improvement plan. And one of the reasons for doing this, the kickoff, is to kind of get the word out early. What we see historically is sometimes the public involvement or public comment or input is pretty sparse. In fact, last year we had 0 comments related to projects. Generally, we'll get comments, people complaining about, just general stuff and government in general, but not really any specific project-related stuff. And so this is an opportunity to, at least get this out here in front of people, in front of you all, so that as your constituents come up with questions or why are we doing this project or whatever, you can kind of, direct them here and direct these things towards Public Works, and we can get those, try to get those questions addressed or, consideration. So again, this is kind of a refresher. We'll go through the process, how we prioritize and select projects, and then kind of review some of our major funding initiatives that we have, committed projects, and again highlight how and highlight some of the progress we've made thus far. So again, the capital improvement plan is a 5-year document, a planning document. It is fiscally constrained. So everything we present, the projects that are in the final document are fiscally constrained. But this public comment allows us to identify projects that may or may be on that horizon, as well as our master plan documents will identify that as well. And again, this is related to public improvements. These are things owned by a governmental agency, and you can see the list of what it includes, such as our facilities, highways. It includes some of the more maintenance intensive items, like we own 2 rail spurs that require periodic maintenance, and our overlay programs and things of that nature. So then, as we look ahead, kind of looking at this, throughout the presentation we have these gold stars kind of indicating this is where we have some sort of interaction interface with the public, whether it be public input, elected officials, that comes into this. And you'll see, like on this first one, required projects. If we have a bond election, bond issue election, we have to do that project. If we have certain agreements in place, grant related, interagency, we have to do that. But typically on these capital projects, we're really not pursuing grants unless we have this project already approved at the local level. And that certainly helps, like on the transportation side with some of our, competing for this grant money. We have to show a local commitment and a local match. Then we look at, like with our sales tax elections, we don't have a specific project list for like our 2017 CIP sales tax, but in that public communication, we say this is the list of projects we're proposing that we would like to do. And so that kind of becomes these highly recommended. We've kind of made a public commitment to do that. And you'll see that later in the presentation, how that plays out. Bond issues are a little different because those are projects that are actually listed in that ballot language. And that's a very finite list of projects. So again, we look through, and we also, we look through the comprehensive plan, master plan, which includes our master plan documents, like our infrastructure master plans. And then at the end of this process, we bring forward the proposed CIP, of which is the planning document for 5 years, but then that first year is also a budget document. That's where we actually authorize the funding for that, and this we're talking about will be for FY27. And generally on the budget process, if we have a project that covers several years, we present that project when we start on it, and then that'll just kind of carry forward from year to year. So sometimes we have, like you'll see, like an example like Coleman Road, that project was first approved about 5 or 6 years ago in the CIP, but as funds, as we developed that project, we carried that money forward to complete the project. So again, this is the process looking at it from an annual cycle, and I use the analogy of a funnel. We start out really broad with big ideas. This is what we'd really like to do. This gets into our strategic plan or comp plan, like the IGNITE plan, land use planning. And again, these all have public input. This is a very public and transparent process. Then with that, kind of, with staff, we'll develop these master plans. Again, those are put out for public comment and review, and that's where you get to like our infrastructure master plans, water and sewer master plans. That's basically the infrastructure we need to support the proposed land use and development and growth in the community. Then we start looking at once we have those master plans, that's when we start looking at how do we fund it? How do we identify funding for these projects? And that's where we look at, many of these are sales tax projects. We have bond issues. Water utilities relies on user fees for these. So these are where we start looking at how can we fund this. This is where we start looking at, where can we pursue grants. And what I want to highlight on this one is when we put out the public comment, it's generally towards the end of the process. So it's really hard to say, hey, I want this project now, to roll it into the process. But what we do is we hear these comments, and so when we come back next year, we'll get those comments in. And I've been in organizations where somebody wants a project now, and it completely disrupts the long-range planning. I've seen it completely just disrupt facility plans. This is my experience, working with facilities on the National Guard side, where they want to do something now, and it really put us behind on a lot of the other like training sites and things like that. So it's not that we can't do it, it just takes time to get it in the system, so we're not really throwing everything out of sync. But again, those public comments help guide this, and this is where I try to encourage this longer term vision. And it's something that as a local community, we can do that. We can take that long term approach, which has really helped us a lot. we've gone through this process annually. So then we get down here to the CIP, and this is where we're churning out projects and getting things done at the end of this. So we're here at this stage in the kickoff where we as staff are going to start identifying the funding and the specific budgets, project cost estimates, and things of that nature going forward to develop our future, this next year's capital improvement plan. So again, I kind of talked through this already, the implementation process where we look at, we identify projects, programs or things that are more recurring, like our overlay program where we, are maintaining infrastructure, the water rehab program, the cast in place pipelining program that water utilities does for their sewer mains, that cathodic protection. So these are examples of programs because we're kind of doing the same type of work every year, and this is primarily driven by condition of the infrastructure. Water utilities will track water main breaks. We're tracking corrugated metal pipe and sinkhole repairs on the public works side, our pavement condition indexes, which drives our overlay program. Again, this is just kind of illustrating the many different master plans the city has that feeds into this. An example is like when we were doing the bond issue, the fire department had a master plan, the facilities master plan, which identified things like the JOF, the Fire Station 1 rehab, same thing with police department and our South PD substation. So again, all these things are tied together, and by having this long range view, it really allows us to go forward. Actually, with the bond issue, it was a fairly short notice in 2023, but by having these plans in place and identifying this and having these conversations, it allows us to respond fairly quickly. Okay, so again, the strategic plan, this is where we look at, from August of 2020, where we look at, the values of things that we envision for our community. And what you'll see, and I'll explain this a little bit later on our detailed plans, how we roll this into our project evaluation, and then our comprehensive plan, the igniting, and this is more that forward long range land use development. And this is guiding a lot of the work that we're doing with the development of the PRI or SLR properties that are some of them are coming online for development. So again, this funnel approach, now we're looking at an example of what we have on a specific project. Now the one I have here is the Southeast Douglas Street, where if you look through this, we describe the project. What's the primary purpose? I mean, one of the questions I love to ask in consultant interviews is, what is the main purpose of this project? If they can't really answer that question, they're generally not selected for the project. Because some are safety, some it's it's multimodal transportation, some it's just infrastructure rehab. And so so this is the project purpose. And again, these are all tied back to these master plans. We put together, and we show the estimated schedule. And the biggest impact on schedule where things usually get delayed is here in this right-of-way acquisition phase and the utility relocation phase. So that's usually when you'll see changes from year to year in the schedule. This is the primary cause. We identified this as a sales tax project. Now what you'll see in this year in the CIP is this project received I think $1.1 million in grant money through the Transportation Assistance Program. So that'll show up in this next CIP of where we added that money to this project. But by having this in front of us, having this approved, that helped us in that process. And then we tie it back to the strategic plan elements that we have. Strategic plans, we're kind of looking at how kind of the existing condition, what is this addressing the immediate need? Like for example, infrastructure condition, and we talked about the community engagement. This is one project that, from Public Works perspective, we received a lot of service requests, a lot of phone calls. We need some work down here. Kids walk to school. We need sidewalks. We have stormwater issues. So that's why you'll see this kind of where we evaluate that community engagement. And then the comp plan, what do we look at? What's going to be the future benefit? Obviously, the multimodal, adding the on-street bike facilities and the sidewalk on both sides. That's going to be one of the biggest improvements in this area. So then again, I'm keep emphasizing this idea of tying things back to the long-range plans, bigger picture issues within the city. You know, transit service, that's something we ask about every year. It's something that comes up every year, but then there's also, is there really a public demand? Is there funding associated with this? And it's just something we want to revisit on an annual basis. Sidewalk gap program is something that we're working on. We'll be spending the rest of that money this year with the construction of phase 2 of that project. And again, this is where we've identified not where we really need new sidewalk, but where we have sidewalk coming from one direction, from 2 different directions, and there's just a gap in the middle. And again, this went back through, some of these conversations we have council in years past. This is identified as really kind of the biggest bang for the buck, because if we put in maybe 100 feet of sidewalk, we now have an entire 2-mile section that's connected. Then I mentioned earlier the voter-approved projects, things we have to do. And this is an example of how we take these out for public presentation. Like in 2017, we went through and we identified the projects here on the left that we wanted to work on, and we proposed kind of the evaluation. And this is kind of the public, these are the public talking points we had going through this. And on to this next slide, you'll kind of see how we're at. The green bar here is kind of indicating we're halfway through this 15-year program. This was approved in April of 2017. We started collecting the revenue in 2018 for this, because we went out to vote and renew it before the previous one expired. This one will expire in 2032. And so you can see over here on the 1 through 5, these projects have been completed. The MoDOT partnerships are things like the 291 interchange project, where we've partnered with MoDOT on certain projects. The ones that are highlighted in amber are ones that are either in design or construction at this point in time. They're still ongoing. And so you can kind of see out here, these are the projects that we have left that we really haven't started on yet. So these may be showing up in the CIP as far as like, that 4th or 5th year as part of a planning document. But again, this gets to, prioritizing the work, sequencing. We have to look at our resources. And so that's kind of how we'll go into that. And sometimes this changes. Like if we have a change and we need to pull the parking garage forward, we can do that. So then we look at, okay, does something else get moved back? But you'll see, like, if you, let's see, for example, Ward Road, this first phase here from Blue Parkway to O'Brien, that contract has been awarded. That will start construction in the spring there in front of Westview Elementary. And the next phase, O'Brien and Chipman, we're in the process of acquiring right-of-way, so that should be in construction in 2027, the following year. Looking at our bond issue projects, the green bar indicates the sequence where we're doing, basically the design, the upfront work, the ambers, the construction phase. And so you can see how these are projected to move forward. Again, when this bond issue was presented in 2023, this was a 10-year window. But as you'll see, many of these projects have been pulled forward and have been done fairly quickly, like the JOF and the court and police remodel on some of those facility projects. And then we're also in the process of the design work on Shearer Road from Ward to 291. This chart here simply illustrates how many of the projects are supported by different funding sources. So this is kind of show how these all will kind of come together through this. So when we look at prioritizing work, again, these are how we prioritize the work. Again, the direction we've had from council on the sales tax issues, we want to cash flow these projects. We don't want to use bond financing using our sales tax revenue. So that's one of that's one of the things that we look at on the sales tax, is managing that cash flow. Then, is there an urgent need for it? Is it something where maybe economic growth comes into play? I mean, that was kind of one of the leading factors on Colburn Road, is there's, definitely, setting the stage, removing that transportation impediment to development. So again, there's some economic growth factors in that. So these are the different things that we'll look at. Again, I'll emphasize again the long-term commitments. I use the example of Todd George and Scruggs. That's the first project I worked on with the city in 1999, and that was based on a study done in 1968. So that's how far ahead that corridor, Todd George Parkway, Scruggs Road, and part of the Chipman Road corridor, that's how far in advance that was identified. I know we talked about the 291 South corridor. That's something that's been on the planning and the development horizon for a long time, is redeveloping that area. You know, what that we now see is now happening, where that interchange along that corridor between 50 Highway and Jefferson Purcell's is really, we're starting to really see that redevelop. That has been discussed and talked about and planned for many, many years. And one of the things that we, always that comes up regularly is this idea of what are we going to do with the older parts of the community. Everybody likes the new shiny objects, but what about when we start talking about that area between like 291, 470, and 50 Highway, that Lee Summit core area. And so you'll see some of those projects like 3rd Street, that downtown gateway was one of these. We have some other collector streets improvements in this area. We have the Olive and Orchard Stormwater Project, which is part of this. So these are examples of where we need, to talk about that, because I know, and there's many options on this when we start looking at this. And so again, as we go through the project development phase, we'll have that public involvement as far as like scoping things of that nature. That may be a topic of conversation when we come back if we want to talk about a sales tax renewal in 2030. What do we want to do with that money? How do we want to approach that? And so again, this is an example. I mentioned the public comment period. One year, I think we received about 20 comments regarding Lakewood Way, there north of Colburn Road. I'm sorry, north of Woods Chapel. Hey, we need to do something here because it always overflows when there's an event coming out of it. The Independence Event Center and 470 gets backed up. We probably had 20 or so comments on that. And where this was funded is that when we started looking at the bond issue projects in 2023, it's like, well, we have one, there's a lot of public demand here and a lot of questions. So let's present that and see if that's what we want to, how we want to pursue the money. Airport Hangar 2, we had the ribbon cutting on that here recently. Terminal buildings under construction. Those are part of the airport master plan documents that we had. And so so there's where we've identified, we had projects identified, no funding source. And so when those opportunities come forward, we can bring those forward. And the ones that are down at the bottom there's, again, it's more like a conversation starter. This is not, we're really looking at this, but we think these are going to come to fruition at some point in time. Example, the Hook Road interchange, that'll probably be part of that PRI South development. Will be probably somewhere in there. So at this time, any discussions, questions? Obviously, you can reach out to us as staff. If people have comments or questions, those can be forwarded to us. So we can work on this process. So and the next slide is kind of our timeline for this year. And again, we're looking at having this wrapped up and presented to council in May to sync with the budget cycle. So
thank you for all of that information. Do we have any questions?
I have a couple, just really quick. Do you mind going back, George, a couple of that, one more? Oh, no, come forward. No, come forward. It was like third from the end, I think. Keep going. Keep going. There.
Okay.
Okay, expanded fixed route transit service. What is that?
Ms. Berry had discussed that in her presentation.
Okay.
That's a fixed route where we have scheduled bus service within the community, like you see in large communities. Would be, the question comes up on a regular basis, but at this point there hasn't really been that we really want to do this.
Well, we have an aging population, and I get that question too. Okay, your downtown core infrastructure. Are we doing more down? Are you talking about on the outer core as we move out toward the?
It's really, I think it's going to be more driven by demand and infrastructure condition. So examples of that is in the 2017 sales tax, we included a lot of the collector streets within the downtown area. So the 3rd Street, the Gateway corridor from 50 to Highway to downtown, the Douglas Street going north to Chipman Road, Independence Avenue between Chipman Road and the south end of it is part of that, and then 3rd Street going from downtown east to 291. So that was the starting point. The next one that's kind of, the first project in that we did that was Orchard Street between Independence and Douglas. That was actually done as a bond project. The other project that we're trying to finalize right away on is the Olive and Orchard stormwater improvements. That's, where, there's we've gotten a lot of stormwater complaints in that area. Mm-hmm. And it's also, if you look at our bikeway master plan or greenway plan, is the connection, from Douglas actually goes from Orchard east over to Olive and north to the signal there at Shipment and Commerce. That's the bicycle route. That's why if you look on Douglas, that trail's going to end at the park there at Lee McKeegan Park. But again, that's going to be a high volume trail. It's going to get a lot of utilization. And so that's what that's looking at when we talk about the downtown infrastructure. We're also doing some corrugated metal pipe rehab over in the Village Fair area. We're doing some lining there. This is one of the areas where several years ago Water Utilities did a sewer main improvement project where they're basically removing and replacing sewer mains. Of course, a lot of those mains are in people's backyards and alleys and things of that nature. So it's a very invasive project. So these retrofits are they're very challenging projects, but they're also necessary. And I think people have asked for, hey, what improvements do we want in this area?
Mm-hmm. And then just one more. What is the downtown parking garage? What is?
That is currently the city owns that parking lot there at 4th and East Main. It's the paved parking lot there as a public parking lot, and then we're looking at potentially expanding that further north, and that would be a potential site for a parking garage in that area. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, it's going to be driven by, there may be some opportunities with development and, public-private partnership in that area. It's also going to be driven by, is there a demand? Do we need it now, or is this something that we're going to start on in the next 2 or 3 years?
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? I just have one question. So when you guys do Douglas, North Douglas, do you think Green Street is going to be the route that everyone uses, or do you think it's going to be more Independence?
As far as the posted detour for people to get to and from downtown, it's probably people are probably going to take the shortest route possible. We're going to generally, as a rule of thumb, we don't post or sign detours on local roads. We use collectors and above. So that'd probably be like Independence. I don't know the classification of Green Street, but that'll be the posted route. I can get back to you on that one as far as what our detour plan is. But normally when we do that, we assume people in the area know the local roads, but we don't post detours on local roads.
Good. Green Street's such a tiny little road that basically is just kind of ignored. But yeah, so I don't know that, I don't know that street can handle that.
Are you talking about North Douglas or South Douglas?
North Douglas.
Okay.
And Northeast Green.
Okay.
I just know whenever the projects were happening on Douglas like a few weeks ago, everyone was using Green Street and people were having to pull over to let trucks by, and then people couldn't, 2 cars can barely get by on that road. It would be a mess. But no, this was good information. When will this be posted?
Generally, right now staff is going to be working on the developing the plans and cost constraints, and so we're looking at having the public posting and comment period in April, because it's 2 phases. We do an online session before Planning Commission, so we can take any comments and present it as an exhibit during the public hearing at Planning Commission. And people are welcome to come to Planning Commission and comment, here from the podium on projects and stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Chair Pryor, we'll be back before the Public Works Committee, as you see here in February, to really show where that draft and it's taking place. The purpose of this is really just informative, as well as to kind of solicit feedback from you all, as well as your constituents or anybody that might be listening, with regard to priority of projects that are already in the CIP. If that we have a 2017 sales tax issue that the voters approved for the parking garage. It was consciously pushed out to the last third years, but maybe there's a different sentiment in the community that wants that sooner. And so if we get that information earlier in our process, we can consider moving projects around in sequence, as well as whether or not there's any capacity within our funds to add a project. And so if there's, we had like Orchard was an example where it got added to the CIP. It wasn't a voter issue. It wasn't, a bond or sales tax. Or Lakewood Way, we start to work those things in. And so if there's projects that are like, hey, we keep hearing about this one, whether that be the timing of it or just the exploration of the possibility of doing that project, we need to hear about those early before we start to lock things down into the draft CIP that you would see in February. So, yeah, if you hear of any projects or you see something in there that you're like, I want this sooner, or maybe you don't want it sooner, maybe you think it ought to be later for whatever reason, that's the kind of feedback we're looking for this early in the process.
I guess my feedback would be downtown. The more traffic that's down here, it's super evident how poor our streets are, with no curbs, super skinny, and no sidewalks for anyone to walk on that literally has to jump off into yards when a trash truck and a car goes by. So that would be my suggestion, to focus on downtown, continue to focus on downtown.
Right, and as Mr. Binger said, I think there's been a very good effort by the city council and the city at whole to reinvest in downtown as a balanced approach with growth outside of downtown. You mentioned, we had 5th Street years ago, but then Orchard, now Olive and Orchard and Douglas, north, south, 3rd Street each way, Independence and Ward Road. But now that we're kind of finishing up, or we have a plan to finish up all those more major roadways, the next question is what do we do now on the local side, right? We're trying to put in sidewalks, but you can't put sidewalks in where it requires such a substantial investment. And are we as a community ready to proceed with that in downtown? It is disruptive. We've seen that on Douglas and other corridors where reinvesting, sometimes you have to make compromise to what the character is. That a lot of residents moved into an older part of downtown, and they value that older character. And so that's a discussion we haven't yet had with the full council. And probably as one, as Mr. Binger alluded to, the next bond opportunity, we'll want to have that conversation. Is this where we want at least a portion of bond funds to go?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did move into downtown with knowing that the roads were skinnier and stuff, but that was before a lot of traffic. And now a lot of the kids don't have, most of downtown is in the walk zone, and they don't have any sidewalks to walk on. But any other comments or questions? Nope. All right, well then I guess that takes us to Roundtable.
Didn't know if there were any roundtable from the committee members, but this is our last meeting of 2025. So just thank you all and thank staff. It was a very busy year, starting with the CIP, as George just kind of concluded, and we're kicking off for FY27, approving the largest one, and you've seen all the ribbon cuttings, a lot of work that this committee has processed, and also tackled 2 council priority goals in stormwater and solid waste this year. So heavy lift, you guys all made it through, so thank you for your work.
And thank you for your work.
Yeah, thank you guys. All right, well, I guess then that adjourns the meeting as of 5:28. 2 minutes under Senda's time.